Daniel Carter stood near the back wall of the Grand Assembly Hall. He was just a lieutenant. He was just part of the security team. His job was simple. Stand still. Watch the room. Do not speak unless spoken to. The hall was the biggest room he had ever seen in his life. It was on the Valorian flagship, a ship so large that it made Earth's biggest space station look like a toy. The ceiling rose so high that clouds could have formed inside. Strange blue lights floated in the air like lazy fireflies. The floor was made of some kind of crystal that showed stars moving beneath it, as if they were standing on top of space itself. 300 people filled the room. Most of them were not human. The Valorians were tall, very tall. The shortest one was at least 7 feet. Their skin came in shades of purple and blue and silver. They had 4 eyes instead of 2, and when they looked at you, it felt like they were reading your soul. Daniel did not like that feeling. He had been in the military for 8 years. He had seen combat. He had faced death. But nothing made him more nervous than standing in this room full of aliens who could kill everyone present with a thought. The Valorians were powerful. Everyone knew this. Their empire stretched across 40 star systems. They had technology that humans could not even understand. And they had something else. Something that made them different from every other species in the galaxy. They could feel emotions. Not just their own emotions. They could feel the emotions of everyone around them. The stronger Valorians could even reach into minds and see memories. Daniel tried very hard to think about nothing. Ambassador Linda Morrison stood at the front of the human group. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had spent 30 years building this moment. Earth's first real alliance with an alien empire. This was supposed to change everything. Beside her stood Captain Gregory Hughes. He was the commander of the Starship Horizon, the ship that had carried the human delegation here. He was a big man with a thick beard and a face that rarely smiled. Right now, he looked like he might throw up. Daniel understood the feeling. At the far end of the hall, on a platform made of floating light, sat Empress SYLT. She was the ruler of the Valorian Empire. She had lived for over 400 years. Her skin was the color of a storm cloud, and her 4 eyes glowed like dying stars. She wore a crown that seemed to be made of frozen lightning. When she moved, the air itself seemed to bow. Daniel had read the briefing files. The Empress had ended wars with a single command. She had destroyed entire fleets that threatened her people. She was not cruel, the file said, but she was absolute. Her word was law across 40 worlds, and sitting on her lap was a child. Princess Elith was small. She looked like a human toddler, though the file said she was 6 cycles old in Valorian time. Her skin was pale violet, almost lavender. Her 4 silver eyes were too big for her face, giving her an innocent look that did not match the intelligence behind them. Daniel had been warned about the princess. All of them had been warned. This was not just a diplomatic meeting. This was the choosing. The Valorians had a tradition that went back 12,000 years. When a royal child reached a certain age, they would choose a guardian. This guardian would protect the child, teach the child, and stay with the child until they became an adult. It was the highest honor in the Valorian Empire. But here was the thing that made everyone nervous. The child chose the guardian, not the parents, not the advisors. The child and Valorian children could see things that adults could not. They could feel the true nature of a person. They could look past lies and masks and see what was really inside. No one had ever been able to trick a royal child. No one had ever been able to influence the choosing. The child simply knew. For 12,000 years, royal children had always chosen Valorians. Highborn warriors. Noble advisors. The greatest heroes of their generation. No outsider had ever been chosen. Not once. Not ever. Daniel was not worried about being chosen. He was a nobody. He was standing 50 feet from the platform, hidden behind a pillar. The princes would choose some Valorian lord. Everyone would clap. And then they would sign the trade agreement and go home. That was the plan. He thought about his sister Katie back on Earth. She was turning 16 next month, and he was going to miss her birthday. Again. He had missed the last 3. He always meant to be there, but something always came up. A mission. A deployment. Another year gone. He wondered what she was doing right now. Probably studying. Katie was smart. Smarter than him. She wanted to be a doctor. She was going to be a good one. A sound pulled him from his thoughts. The ceremony was starting. Empress Siltharian rose from her throne. The child in her arms squirmed, wanting to be put down. The Empress placed her gently on the floating platform. Princess Alith stood on wobbling legs. She was so small, so fragile looking. But when she lifted her head, the entire hall went quiet. She began to walk. The platform moved with her, floating slowly across the room. Valorian nobles straightened their backs and lifted their chins. This was the moment they had prepared for. Some of their families had been training candidates for generations. The princess passed High Commander Rothius. He was a hero who had defended the Empire in 3 wars. He had trained for this moment his entire life. The princess did not even look at him. She passed Lord Catherine. His family had produced guardians for 6 generations. His blood was pure. His record was perfect. The princess walked past him like he was furniture. One by one, she rejected them all. Whispers began to spread through the crowd. This was unusual. Children usually made their choice quickly. They saw what they wanted and they went to it. But Princess Alith kept walking, kept searching. Her silver eyes scanned the crowd with an intensity that did not belong to a child. Then she turned toward the humans. Daniel felt something strange. It was like a warm hand pressing against his chest from the inside. Gentle, curious, like a cat sniffing at something new. He blinked. The princess was looking directly at him. There. Eyes met across the crowded hall. 4 silver eyes staring into 2 brown ones. Daniel could not move. He could not breathe. He felt like he was standing naked in front of the entire galaxy. The princess raised her small hand. One tiny finger pointed straight at him. Him, she said. Her voice was clear and high, like a bell. It carried across the entire hall without effort. The quiet one with the warm heart. He carries sadness but no hatred. He will be my guardian. The hall froze. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. 300 people stood like statues, their faces locked in expressions of pure shock. Daniel's heart stopped beating. At least, that was what it felt like. Ambassador Morrison turned pale as snow. Captain Hughes grabbed the edge of a table to keep from falling. The Valorian nobles looked like they had been slapped across the face. And on her throne, Empress Siltharian slowly rose to her full height. Her 4 glowing eyes fixed on Daniel like targeting lasers. Approach, she commanded. Daniel did not remember deciding to walk. His legs simply moved on their own, carrying him forward through the silent crowd. People parted before him like water around a stone. His boots clicked against the crystal floor. The sound was the only noise in the entire hall. When he reached the platform, he stopped. The princess was right in front of him now. She barely came up to his knee. But when she smiled at him, Daniel felt something break open inside his chest. She reached out and touched his hand. I found you, she whispered. I have been looking for so long. Daniel did not know what to say. He did not know what to do. He just stood there, frozen, as the entire galaxy watched and wondered what would happen next. Everything had changed, and there was no going back. The silence lasted for 10 heartbeats. Then the hall exploded. Voices rose from every corner. Valorian nobles shouted in their own language, their 4 eyes blazing with anger. Some pointed at Daniel like he was a criminal. Others turned to the Empress, demanding answers she did not have. Lord Kethrin pushed through the crowd. His face was dark purple with rage. He was tall even for a Valorian, nearly 8 feet, and his body was thick with muscle. He had spent his entire life preparing for this moment. His family had served the royal bloodline for 6 generations. And now a human, a nobody from a primitive world, had stolen his destiny. "This is madness," he shouted. His voice cut through the noise like a blade. "The child is confused. She does not know what she is doing. We must perform the ceremony again." The crowd quieted. Everyone looked at the Empress. ItHFY had not moved. She stood like a statue carved from storm clouds, her 4 eyes fixed on Daniel. Her face showed nothing. No anger, no surprise, no emotion at all. That scared Daniel more than anything else. "The choosing cannot be undone," the Empress said. Her voice was soft, but it carried to every corner of the hall. "This has been our law for 12,000 years. My daughter has made her choice. But he is human," Lord Kethrin said. He spat the word like poison. "They are children in the cosmos. They have only been among the stars for 200 years. They have no psychic ability. They cannot form the guardian bond. This choice is impossible." "Nothing is impossible for royal blood," the Empress replied. "If my daughter says this human can be her guardian, then it can be so. With respect, Your Majesty, this is a mistake. The humans cannot be trusted. They are violent. They fight wars among themselves. They destroy their own planet. How can such a creature protect our princess?" Daniel wanted to argue. He wanted to defend his species. But his tongue was frozen in his mouth. He could only stand there, feeling very small and very alone. Princess Elith had not let go of his hand. Her small fingers gripped his with surprising strength. When Lord Kethrin spoke, she pressed closer to Daniel's leg. "You are afraid," she said to the Lord. Her voice was quiet but clear. "You are afraid that you are not special. You are afraid that your blood does not matter as much as you believe. That is why you are angry." Lord Kethrin's face went pale. Being read by a child, having his emotions exposed in front of everyone, was the greatest shame a Valorian could suffer. "You dare," he whispered. "I see truth," the princess replied. "That is my gift. And I see that this human has a better heart than you. He does not want power. He does not want glory. He just wants to help people. That is why I chose him." The hall was silent again. Lord Kethrin stood frozen, his hands shaking at his sides. For a moment, Daniel thought the noble might attack. But then Kethrin turned and walked out of the hall without another word. The Empress watched him go. Then she looked at Daniel. "Come with me," she said. "We have much to discuss." The next few hours were a blur. Daniel was taken to a private chamber deep within the Valorian flagship. The room was beautiful, with walls that seemed to be made of living light and furniture that floated above the floor. But he could not enjoy any of it. He was too scared. Ambassador Morrison arrived 20 minutes later. Her face was tight with worry. "Carter, do you have any idea what just happened?" she asked. "I was chosen," Daniel said. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. "I do not understand it, but I was chosen. This changes everything. The trade agreement, the alliance, all of our plans. Everything is different now." She sat down on one of the floating chairs and rubbed her temples. "The Valorian Council is an emergency session. Half of them want to throw you out an airlock. The other half want to study you like a lab rat. What does the Empress want?" "I do not know. She has not said anything since she brought you here. Morrison looked at him with tired eyes. Carter, I need to know. Is there anything special about you? Anything that might explain why the princess chose you? Daniel shook his head. I am nobody, ma'am. I grew up in Iowa. My father died when I was 12. I joined the military because I did not know what else to do. I have never done anything important in my life. The princess said you have a warm heart, that you carry sadness but no hatred. I do not know what that means. Neither do I. Morrison stood up. The Empress wants to see you alone. I cannot go with you. Whatever happens in that room, whatever she asks you, just be honest. Valorians can sense lies. If you try to hide anything, she will know. Daniel nodded. His mouth was dry. His hands were shaking. A door opened in the wall. 2 Valorian guards stood on the other side. It is time, one of them said. The Empress's private chamber was dark. The only light came from floating crystals that drifted through the air like slow fireflies. The room smelled like rain and old books, a combination that made no sense but somehow fit perfectly. Siltharian sat on a simple chair in the center of the room. She had removed her crown. Without it, she looked almost ordinary. Almost. Sit, she said. Daniel sat on the floor. There were no other chairs. My daughter sees things that others cannot, the Empress began. She has been able to read emotions since she was 2 cycles old. By 3, she could see memories. By 4, she could sense the true nature of a soul. She paused. She has never been wrong. I do not understand why she chose me, Daniel said. Neither do I. That is why we are here. The Empress leaned forward. Her 4 eyes glowed brighter in the darkness. I am going to look inside your mind, Daniel Carter. I am going to see everything you are. Every memory. Every fear. Every secret. If there is anything dark hiding inside you, I will find it. Daniel felt cold. And if you find something bad, then you will die, and we will never speak of this again. He should have been terrified. He should have run. But instead, Daniel felt a strange calm settle over him. Okay, he said. Look. The Empress placed her hands on the sides of his head. Her touch was cold, like holding ice. Then the world disappeared. Daniel saw his whole life flash before him. But it was not like the story said. It was not fast. It was slow. Every moment stretched out like taffy. He saw his father teaching him to ride a bike. He saw his mother crying at the funeral. He saw his sister Katie taking her first steps, then her first day of school, then growing up while he was away serving on distant ships. He saw his training, his first mission, his first time in combat, the friends he had made, the friends he had lost. He saw all the times he had been afraid and pushed forward anyway, all the times he had been kind when it would have been easier to be cruel. All the small moments of grace that he had never thought important. And he saw the loneliness. The deep, quiet loneliness that had lived inside him since his father died. The feeling that he did not quite fit anywhere. That he was always watching life from the outside. When it was over, Daniel was crying. He did not know when the tears had started. His whole body shook. The Empress removed her hands. She was quiet for a long time. You are broken, she finally said. Scarred. You carry wounds that have never healed. Daniel wiped his eyes. Everyone carries wounds. Yes, but most people let their wounds make them bitter. They let pain turn into anger. They let loss turn into hate. She tilted her head. You did not. You have suffered, but you remained kind. You have lost, but you still love. I do not know any other way to be. The Empress smiled. It was small and strange on her alien face, but it was real. That is exactly why my daughter chose you, she said. You are not special because of what you can do. You are special because of who you are. She stood up. The floating crystals gathered around her like loyal pets. "The ceremony will proceed," she announced. "You will become my daughter's guardian. It will not be easy. Many will hate you for it. Some will try to kill you. But I believe you can do this." Daniel rose on shaky legs. "What if I fail?" "Then you fail. But at least you will have tried." She placed a hand on his shoulder. "Welcome to the family, Daniel Carter. Your life will never be the same." She was right. It never was. The week that followed was the hardest of Daniel's life. News of the choosing spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every news channel, every communication network, every corner of known space was talking about the human who had been chosen by a Valorian princess. Some called it a miracle. Others called it a disaster. Most just called it impossible. On Earth, the reaction was mixed. Some people celebrated. They saw this as proof that humanity had a place among the stars. Others were angry. They said Daniel should have refused. They said he had no right to accept such responsibility. His sister Katie sent him a message. It was short. Just 3 words. "I believe you." That meant more to Daniel than anything else. On the Valorian flagship, the reaction was much worse. Daniel was kept in a special room that was half prison and half palace. The walls were made of energy that he could not pass through. The bed was softer than clouds. Armed guards stood outside at all times. He was not sure if they were there to protect him or to make sure he did not escape. Every day, officials came to question him. They asked about his childhood, his training, his beliefs, his dreams. They asked the same questions over and over, looking for lies, looking for weakness. Daniel answered honestly every time. He had nothing to hide. He was exactly what he appeared to be. A simple man from a simple place who had somehow stumbled into something extraordinary. On the 4th day, Commander Samuel Ortiz came to visit. Ortiz was second in command of the Starship Horizon. He was a big man with broad shoulders and a face that had seen too many battles. He and Daniel had served together for 2 years. They were not close friends, but they respected each other. "How are you holding up?" Ortiz asked, settling into the floating chair across from Daniel. "I have been better," Daniel admitted. "I have also been worse. At least nobody has tried to kill me yet." Ortiz smiled, but there was no humor in it. "Give it time. The Valorian Council met yesterday. Lord Catherine's faction is pushing hard to cancel the choosing. They want to declare it invalid on technical grounds." "What technical grounds?" "They are saying that humans cannot form the Guardian Bond. They are saying that without the bond, the choosing means nothing." Ortiz leaned forward. "They are also saying that if the bond cannot be formed, you should be executed for insulting the royal family." Daniel felt cold. "Can they do that?" "The Empress has final say, but she is under a lot of pressure. The Council has power. If she ignores them completely, it could start a civil war." Ortiz paused. "There is talk of a compromise. They might let you live but send you back to Earth. Pretend the whole thing never happened. And the princess? What happens to her? They will choose a new guardian for her. A proper Valorian one." Daniel shook his head. "She chose me. I saw it in her eyes. She was looking for someone, and she found me. If I abandon her now, what does that say about humanity? What does that say about me?" Ortiz was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "I was hoping you would say that," he said. "The ambassador wants to fight for you. So does Captain Hughes. But we need to know that you are committed, that you will not back down. I will not back down, even if it means dying." Daniel thought about that. He thought about his sister, his home, everything he would leave behind. Then he thought about a small girl with silver eyes who had looked at 300 people and chosen him. Even if it means dying, he said. On the 5th day, Princess Aleph came to see him. The guards did not want to let her in, but she was a princess. She walked past them like they were not there, and they could do nothing to stop her. She was even smaller than Daniel remembered. Her violet skin glowed softly in the light from the energy walls. Her silver eyes were wide and curious. "Hello," she said. "Hello," Daniel replied. He did not know what else to say. Aleph climbed onto the floating bed beside him. She sat with her legs dangling over the edge, too short to reach the floor. "They want to take you away," she said. "I can feel it. They think I made a mistake. Did you?" She shook her head. "No, I looked inside you. I saw who you really are. You are good. You are kind. You are exactly what I need." "Why?" Daniel asked. "I am just a human. I do not have any special powers. I cannot read minds or see the future. I am nothing compared to your people. That is why I chose you." Daniel did not understand. Aleph saw his confusion and smiled. "Everyone here wants something from me," she explained. "They want power. They want influence. They want to control the next empress. When they look at me, they do not see a child. They see a tool." Her voice was sad. Too sad for someone so young. "But you are different," she continued. "When I looked inside you, I did not see ambition. I did not see greed. I just saw someone who was lonely. Someone who wanted to help people. Someone who would love me just because I am me." Daniel's throat felt tight. "I do not know if I can protect you. I do not know if I can be what you need." "You can. I know you can." She reached out and took his hand. "You just have to believe." They sat together in silence for a while. It was the most peaceful moment Daniel had experienced since the choosing. On the 6th day, everything changed. The High Council announced a test. They called it the Trial of Worthiness. It was an ancient tradition, used in cases where a choosing was disputed. The chosen guardian would face 3 challenges. If they passed, the choosing would be confirmed. If they failed, they would die. No outsider had ever taken the trial. No one knew what the challenges would. Ambassador Morrison was furious. She called it barbaric. She threatened to withdraw the entire human delegation. But the Empress said the trial was the only way to silence the council. Without it, there would be war. Daniel accepted. The first challenge was physical. Daniel was placed in an arena with a Valorian warrior, twice his size. The warrior was armed with a weapon that looked like a sword made of lightning. Daniel was given nothing. The fight lasted 12 minutes. Daniel was faster than the warrior expected. He used his smaller size to dodge attacks that should have killed him. He struck at weak points. He refused to stay down no matter how many times he was hit. In the end, he did not defeat the warrior, but he survived. That was all the trial required. The second challenge was mental. Daniel was placed in a room full of illusions. He saw his father, alive again, begging him to come home. He saw his sister dying in an accident he could not prevent. He saw himself alone and forgotten, growing old in the darkness of space. The illusions tried to break him. They tried to make him give up. But Daniel had lived with loss his entire life. He knew what was real and what was not. He walked through the nightmares without flinching. The third challenge was the hardest. It was a test of the heart. Daniel stood before the entire High Council. They told him that the choosing was a lie. They said the princess had been forced to choose him by human agents. They offered him wealth beyond imagination if he would confess to the deception. Daniel looked at them. Then he looked at the princess, watching from her mother's side. "I am not lying," he said. "I did not ask to be chosen. I do not want your wealth. I just want to do what is right. And abandoning that child is not right." The council voted. It was close. Some still wanted him dead. But in the end, the majority agreed. Daniel had passed the trial. Empress Siltharion rose from her throne. Her face showed something that might have been respect. "Daniel Carter of Earth," she announced. "You have proven yourself worthy. The choosing stands. You will be guardian to my daughter." The hall erupted in noise. Some cheered. Others cursed. But Daniel did not hear any of it. He was looking at Aleph, who was smiling at him with tears in her silver eyes. He had done it. Against all odds, he had done it. Now the real work would begin. The Guardian ceremony took place 3 days after Daniel passed the trial. The Temple of Eternal Light was the oldest building in the Valorian Empire. It floated in the void between stars, held together by technology so ancient that no one remembered how it worked. The walls were made of crystal that had been growing for 10,000 years. Light from 100 different suns passed through them, painting the floor with colors that had no names. Daniel stood in the center of it all. Feeling very small, he wore the ceremonial armor of a Valorian guardian. It had been modified to fit his human body, but it still felt strange. The metal was too light. The joints moved too smoothly, and there was something alive about it. Something that hummed against his skin like a sleeping heartbeat. Around him stood the witnesses. Ambassador Morrison was there, her face proud but worried. Captain Hughes stood beside her, looking like he might cry. Dr. Patricia Lane from the Horizons medical team wiped tears from her eyes openly. Commander Ortiz nodded at Daniel with respect. They were the only humans in a crowd of thousands. Valorians from every corner of the Empire had come to watch. Some were curious. Some were angry. Most just wanted to see history being made. Lord Kethron was not there. He had refused to attend. Word was that he had already left the flagship, returning to his homeworld to plot his next move. Daniel knew he had not seen the last of that man, but today was not about Kethron. Today was about something bigger. Princess Alith walked down the central path toward him. She wore a gown made of woven light that shifted colors with every step. Her silver eyes were fixed on Daniel, and she was smiling. Behind her came Empress Siltharion, tall and terrible and beautiful, the most powerful being in 40 star systems, walking her daughter toward a human soldier from a backwater planet. The galaxy had gone mad. Daniel was sure of it. Alice stopped in front of him. She was so small. Her head barely reached his waist. But there was no fear in her eyes. Only trust. "Are you ready?" she asked. "No," Daniel admitted. "But I will do my best anyway." She laughed. It was a sound like wind chimes, pure and bright. "That is why I chose you. You always do your best." The ceremony began. An ancient Valorian priest stepped forward. He was older than anyone Daniel had ever seen. His skin faded to pale gray, his 4 eyes cloudy with age. But his voice was strong. "We gather today to witness a bond that transcends blood and species," the priest said. "A bond between guardian and child. A bond that will last until the child comes of age or the guardian falls." He turned to Daniel. "Daniel Carter of Earth, do you accept this responsibility? Do you swear to protect Princess Alith with your life? To teach her with wisdom? To stand beside her through joy and sorrow?" "I swear," Daniel said. "Do you swear to put her needs above your own? To sacrifice everything for her safety? To be her shield against the darkness?" "I swear." "Do you swear to love her as family? To treat her as your own? To never abandon her, no matter what challenges arise?" Daniel looked down at Alice. She was watching him with those silver eyes, her small hands clasped in front of her. "I swear," he said. And he meant it. The priest nodded. Then he turned to the princess. "Aleth, daughter of the eternal throne, do you accept this guardian? Do you bind yourself to him in trust and faith?" Do you promise to honor the bond between you? I accept, Aleph said. I bind myself. I promise. The priest stepped back. Then let the bond be formed. Aleph reached up with both hands. Daniel knelt so she could reach him. She pressed her small palms against his chest, right over his heart. At first, nothing happened. Then Daniel felt it. It started as warmth. A gentle heat that spread from her hands into his body. Then the warmth became light. Then the light became something else. Something that had no word in any human language. He felt her. Not just her presence, but her. Her emotions. Her thoughts. Her memories. They flowed into him like water, and his own flowed back into her. He felt her loneliness. She had been born a princess, raised in isolation, surrounded by people who wanted things from her. She had never had a friend. She had never known what it felt like to be loved without conditions, and she felt his loneliness. The loss of his father. The years spent among the stars, far from everyone he cared about. The quiet ache that never quite went away. Their pain met. Their pain merged. And somehow, in that merging, it became less. Daniel gasped. Tears streamed down his face. He did not try to stop them. Aleph was crying too. But she was also smiling. I found you, she whispered again, just like she had in the Grand Assembly Hall. And now I will never be alone again. Daniel pulled her into a hug. It was not part of the ceremony. It was not traditional. Some of the Valorian nobles looked shocked. But he did not care. Neither will I, he said. The bond settled into place. It felt like a second heartbeat, always there, always connected. Daniel knew that from now on, he would always be able to feel her. Her joy, her fear, her hope, everything. And she would be able to feel him. For the first time in his life, Daniel did not feel alone. The temple erupted in applause. Some of the cheers were genuine. Others were forced. But it did not matter. The ceremony was complete. The bond was real. Daniel Carter, a simple lieutenant from Earth, was now the guardian of a Valorian princess. The celebration that followed lasted 3 days. Daniel met more aliens in those 3 days than most humans met in a lifetime. Ambassadors from 17 different species came to congratulate him. Some were friendly. Some were suspicious. A few seemed to be studying him like a scientist studies a strange, new insect. He smiled and shook hands and said the right things. Ambassador Morrison helped him navigate the political waters. Captain Hughes stayed close, ready to pull him out if things got too complicated. But the best moments were the quiet ones. The moments when he sat with Alith and just talked. She wanted to know everything about Earth. What did the sky look like? What did the food taste like? Were there really animals called dogs that loved humans unconditionally? Daniel told her about Cedar Falls, about the farm where he grew up, about the creek where he used to fish with his father, about his sister Katie and her dream of becoming a doctor. Alith listened with wide eyes. She asked 1,000 questions. She laughed at his jokes, even the bad ones. And through the bond, Daniel felt her happiness, pure and bright and real. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever felt. I want to go there, she said one night. I want to see Earth. I want to meet your sister. I want to know what grass feels like under my feet. Someday, Daniel promised. When things settle down, I will take you home. Your home is my home now, Alith said. That is what the bond means. We are family. Family. Daniel turned the word over in his mind. He had not had a real family since his father died. Just his sister, far away, growing up without him. But now he had Alith. And she had him. Maybe that was what the princess had seen in him all along. Not power. Not skill. Just the capacity to be family. To love without asking for anything in return. Daniel looked out at the stars through the temple window. Somewhere out there, Earth was spinning. His sister was sleeping. His old life was continuing without him. He did not miss it. He had something better now. He had a purpose. 5 years passed. Daniel Carter was no longer the quiet man who stood in the back of rooms. He had become one of the most famous people in the galaxy. His face was on news channels from Earth to the edge of Valorian space. Children on dozens of worlds knew his name. He did not like the fame. He never had. But he accepted it because it helped Aleph. Every positive story about him was a positive story about humans. Every time he showed kindness, he proved that humanity belonged among the stars. The alliance between Earth and the Valorian Empire had grown stronger than anyone expected. Trade routes connected the two civilizations. Human doctors worked with Valorian scientists to cure diseases. Students from both species studied together, learning from each other. Some people called it the beginning of a golden age. Daniel just called it Tuesday. His main job was still the same. Protect Aleph. Teach her. Help her grow into the leader she was meant to be. She was 11 now. Not a toddler anymore. She had grown tall for her age, almost up to Daniel's shoulder. Her violet skin had deepened to a rich purple. Her silver eyes saw more than ever before. And she was brilliant. She spoke 4 languages fluently, including English. She understood politics better than ambassadors twice her age. She could sense emotions from across a room and know exactly what to say to calm a crowd. Daniel was proud of her. So proud it hurt sometimes. They had visited Earth twice. Katie had cried when she met Aleph. Then she had spent 3 days showing the princess everything Cedar Falls had to offer. They became friends. Good friends. Aleph loved Earth. She loved the blue sky and the green grass and the way the wind smelled after rain. She especially loved dogs. Daniel had to stop her from adopting everyone she met. When I am Empress, she told him once, every planet will have dogs. Daniel had laughed. That might be difficult. Then we will make it not difficult. That is what empresses do. She was joking, mostly, but there was steel in her voice. The same steel her mother had. The steel of someone who would one day rule 40 worlds, but not everyone wanted her to rule. Lord Catherine had not been idle during these 5 years. He had gathered allies in the shadows, nobles who resented human influence, warriors who believed in pure blood, merchants who had lost business to the new trade routes. They called themselves the true Valorians. They wanted to end the alliance with Earth. They wanted to remove Daniel from his position as guardian. And some of them wanted much worse. Daniel knew about them. The Empress knew about them. They watched and waited, hoping Kethron would make a mistake. On the eve of Elith's 11th cycle celebration, he finally did. The feast was held in the Grand Assembly Hall, the same hall where Daniel had been chosen 5 years ago. Over 500 guests filled the space, including delegations from Earth and a dozen allied worlds. Daniel stood beside Elith's chair, watching the crowd. Through their bond, he felt her excitement. She loved parties. She loved meeting new people and hearing their stories. But he also felt something else. A cold thread of wrongness that made his spine tingle. He scanned the room. Everything looked normal. Guests eating. Servants moving. Music playing. Then he saw them. 3 Valorian guards near the eastern entrance. Their uniforms were correct. Their weapons were regulation. But something about them was wrong. They were too still. Too focused. Daniel reached through the bond. He sent a pulse of warning to Aleph without speaking. She understood instantly. Her hand found his under the table. "What do you see?" she asked, her lips barely moving. 3 guards. East entrance. Something is wrong with them. I feel it too. Their emotions are strange, like they have been twisted. Twisted. Daniel knew what that meant. Catherine's psychics had gotten to them, corrupted their minds, turned them into weapons. "We need to get you out of here," he said. "If I run, people will panic. People will die." She was right. If the princess fled the hall, the assassins might strike randomly. Innocent people would be caught in the crossfire. "Then stay behind me," Daniel said. "No matter what happens." The assassins moved. They were fast. Faster than Daniel expected. Their weapons were out before anyone else in the room could react. Blue energy blades that hummed with killing power. Daniel moved faster. He grabbed Aleph and threw her behind him. The first blade came at his chest. He twisted, letting it slice across his ribs instead of through his heart. Pain exploded through his body, but he did not stop. His training took over. 8 years of military service. 5 years of Valorian combat instruction. Everything he had learned came together in a single moment of perfect clarity. He caught the first assassin's arm and broke it. The man screamed and dropped. The second assassin came from the left. Daniel ducked under the blade and drove his elbow into the man's throat. He went down choking. The third assassin was behind him. Daniel spun, but he was too slow. The blade was already falling toward his neck. Then Alice screamed. The sound that came from her was not a child's cry. It was something ancient, something powerful, something that shook the walls and cracked the crystal floor. The assassin flew backward, not from a physical blow, from pure psychic force. He hit the far wall so hard that the stone cracked behind him. The entire hall fell silent. Alice stood with her hands raised, violet light pouring from her eyes. She was shaking. Her whole body trembled with the effort of what she had just done. "You will not hurt him," she said. Her voice echoed strangely, like multiple voices speaking at once. "He is mine, my guardian, my family. You will not take him from me." The remaining guests stared in shock. No one had seen a child display such power since ever. Daniel fell to his knees. Blood poured from his wound. The world was getting fuzzy around the edges. "Aleph," he whispered. She was beside him instantly. Her small hands pressed against his wound. The violet light changed, became softer, warmer. He felt it flowing into him, knitting his flesh back together. "You will not die," she commanded. "I forbid it." And somehow, impossibly, the universe listened. Daniel woke 3 days later in a medical bay. Dr. Patricia Lane was beside his bed, checking his vital signs. She smiled when she saw his eyes open. "Welcome back, hero," she said. "Aleph?" he asked immediately. "She is fine. Better than fine. She has not left this room except to eat and sleep. And sometimes not even then." Daniel looked around. The princess was curled up in a chair beside his bed, sleeping. Someone had covered her with a blanket. Even in sleep, her hand reached toward him. "What happened?" "You saved her life. Then she saved yours." Lane shook her head. "The doctors here say the wound should have killed you. But somehow, her healing stopped the bleeding and repaired the damage. They've never seen anything like it. The assassins? Dead. 2 from the injuries you gave them, 1 from the impact with the wall." Lane's expression darkened. "Catherine has been arrested. The Empress found evidence linking him to the attack. He will face trial." Daniel nodded. He should have felt satisfied, but mostly he just felt tired. Alice stirred. Her silver eyes blinked open. When she saw Daniel awake, she scrambled from the chair and threw herself onto the bed. "You are okay," she said, hugging him carefully. "I was so scared. I felt you fading through the bond. I thought I was going to lose you." "I am harder to kill than that," Daniel said. He hugged her back. "You saved me. That was incredible. I did not know I could do that." She pulled back, her eyes wide. The power just came. I felt you dying, and I could not let it happen. So I stopped it. You are going to be an amazing empress someday. Alith smiled, but there was something new in her eyes. A maturity that had not been there before. I do not want to think about that now, she said. I just want you to get better. I just want things to be normal. Daniel laughed. It hurt his ribs, but he did not care. Things have not been normal since the day you pointed at me in that hall, he said. I know. She rested her head on his chest. But I would not change it. Not for anything. Daniel looked at the ceiling. Beyond it, the stars were waiting. A whole galaxy of challenges and adventures and dangers yet to come. He had almost died. He probably would almost die again. That was the price of being a guardian. But lying here, with Alith beside him, feeling her heartbeat through their bond, he knew it was worth it. He had found his purpose. He had found his family, and he would protect them both until his last breath. Years later, when historians wrote about the beginning of the Golden Age, they always started with the same scene. A crowded hall. A child's finger pointing through the crowd. And a quiet man stepping forward to change the galaxy forever. The story of Daniel Carter became legend. The human who was chosen. The guardian who proved that courage and kindness mattered, more than blood or species. But Daniel never thought of himself as a legend. He was just a man from Iowa who loved a little girl with silver eyes. Everything else was details.